In this watercolour project I'm going to be producing a greetings card. It's going to be an anniversary card. So I've got a little group of teddy bears here. One in the front there is holding a present and a bunch of flowers. There's some bears from up in our bedroom. I posed them on a dark background on a dark sweatshirt because the bear at the back here he's white. These ones are quite pale. So that's why I've worked out my shape and my exact size, so I know it's going to fit into my envelope. And I also sort of worked out some of the colours I was going to be using. I think I'm going to do the present in yellow with a blue ribbon, and I've got some sort of daisy type flowers over here that the bear in the front is holding. He's got a bright red bow tie, as has this little one up here. So having planned that out and decided which direction the light is coming from, I need to start looking at the dark background. I tried a selection of mixes first of all, just to test things out. There's some alizarin red and viridian green, makes a dark background. This one I quite like is Windsor violet, but perhaps the colour's a little bit intense. So I tried a mix of that with some Payne's grey, which has produced a wash I think will be quite nice for a background. So I'll move on to the painting proper and see how we go. So again, same size. I've just sort of roughed the outline in, put in sort of eyes and things, and we'll take it from there. So here's my mix of violet and Payne's grey, and what I'm going to do is, I really want to do this background all in one shot, so I shall wet the paper first in tight round the edge of the main subject. I could actually go around and done some masking fluid to help with this, but on this relatively small scale and not too difficult an outline, we'll go straight in with some water first. The one that's probably going to be most difficult is this bear at the top of the back here, because he's pristine white, so I don't really want to get any of the background wash on him at all. Yes, go for the wash, go for the water and not the paint. So I think I shall again do a similar sort of thing, but this time using my paint mix. So starting around somewhere on the top here. In we go. Let that dry and see if I like the colour. Right, the first wash is pretty dry now. I need to go in. I think it's actually dried quite lightly, and also of course I realised I missed painting in that little section there, so I've mixed up some more of my wash. So I'll start again, and starting at the top, I shall work my way around with this much darker colour. The background washes are now fully dried. I'm quite happy with the density of the colour I got on that. What I think I will do is soften off these edges around the bottom, just to so that the fur obviously is quite soft around the edges. So I'll take a small soft brush, just damp it, and going round these edges, I'll just dampen them off a bit, and then using a paper towel just dab them slightly, so it just takes away the very hard edge where see the bears are all soft and fluffy. So the next stage is to move on to adding some colour. Now I've got my picture here on the tablet, which is quite reflective, so I'll try and hold it so we can see. So that the main bear in the foreground is a brown shade. The other ones are quite pale. This is quite a pale one, and you've got another little brown one there, and the one at the back there is a white bear, which so obviously that's just because you need little bits of shadow added, and then all their details put in. So I'm probably going to start with a light wash of raw sienna over the brown bears, and then proceed to give them a bit more of their local colour. I'll squeeze out some raw sienna into the palette there. I need a tiny amount of it, and with a largish brush make up a wash, just an initial wash to go over any of the bears that are a vaguely brown colour. So I have to start with the little head at the top here. So I'll let that bit dry, and we can then move on to the next stage. So I've put out a selection of browns, raw sienna, raw umber, burnt sienna, burnt umber, and working on a few scraps of paper I've tried some potential colours for the bear. So I quite like this raw umber and raw sienna mix is quite a nice colour for our main subject bear. This one's got a bit of burnt sienna in it, which is a slightly redder colour, which will make quite a good match for our small bear. So I'll mix up some of those colours, starting with the main subject bear in the foreground, and we'll see how this looks. Well, the last wash is now thoroughly dried. So it's basically a case of continuing to add shadows and things. I like a bit of shadow behind where the flower's going to be to help them show up a bit. A few darker shadows down this side to say the light's coming in from top right. And we're probably not far off adding some of the really dark bits like the noses and the eyes. So obviously we'll have our lightest light and then we'll have our darkest dark, and then one can try and balance up the tones across the picture. Because of the flowers here, I'd like to make this bear on the right hand side a little bit darker. In my image here, it's more a sort of oatmeal-y colour, so I've mixed up a wash with some raw sienna, a bit of ultramarine blue, a bit of light red. So I shall go over this chap here. Let's remove the excess bristles. So we'll go over him with this darker shade over the whole of the bear, but carefully around the flower petals, so they all remain much lighter colour. I might end up lifting a little bit of this colour later if it's proved too dark, so it's not bad there. Probably make a little more sense when I've added his nose and eyes, and we'll see how we do there. Shadow there. Alright, so I'll let that one dry for that bear. And so if we look at this top bear, which is a white one, so I shall put in some hair out of that. This brush seems to be doing a good job of shedding hairs at the moment. Perhaps I need to go to another one. But anyway, so this white bear will give a slightly bluer mix to his shadows. And fresh water will just damp him down, as in damp but not flood. Overdo it. Dry and see how they look. At this stage, I think what I'm going to do is put in the really dark bits, the nose on the main bear there, the eyes and that. So I've got my darkest darks in, and then I can sort of try and balance up the tones on these. So for this, I'm going to use some make a dark mix. I'm not going to use black, so I'll use some ultramarine blue and some raw umber. A little more bear-like. Now that the features on the bears have dried, I'm going to pop in and put the red in for the bow ties and bits. So the picture's starting to come together. So for this, I'm going to use my because I only use sort of tiny amount of red, so I'm just going to use pan colour for that. And this is my little portable Winsor & Newton field box, and it's got a nice bright red in there in artist quality watercolour. So using a fresh brush and some clean water, I shall work up some of this nice bright red colour. Set it down there. Try it out on a little bit of corner. Oh yes, that's looking suitably bright. So go in here. We'll have to work round where the bow is on the present, but so this just tucks up neatly to the knot in the middle, and as it comes up round his chin, out over on this side. So that is looking suitably splendid in his bow tie there. And this little bear at the back here, he's also got a bow tie, which helps to define the shape of the ear on this bear, because it's sticking out from behind there, and you see a little bit of it over this side again, sticking out from behind the ear there. So there we are, that's looking pretty good. I'll probably add in some little shadows here where the folds are in the bow tie, which is, having said there's a little bit tucks up there, helps to define the shape of his face there. Okay, the bow tie is now dried. I'm turning my thoughts now to this present. Initially, when I first put the picture together, I thought I might do that yellow with a blue ribbon, but as in fact, it's an anniversary card for a 35th, which apparently is coral. So I've took out some. This is rose madder, and in a pale wash it looks like that. And I thought, well, that's not a bad pinky corally colour. So we'll go with some of that on on the gift. So with a small brush and some fresh clean water, I shall carefully paint in. So continue to work on the present there. I'm going to add the ribbon. For this I've got some cobalt blue again from my little field box there, because only a tiny quantity needed. So we'll just check out the colour on a bit of paper. It's a nice shade of blue. So I'll carefully pop this in. Right, the next thing I'm going to look at are the flowers, sort of daisy-like flowers, because Howard, the bear in the foreground, is not a great one for spending money. So I'm going to go for just a yellow centre of white petals. I've taken some of the yellow from my field box there and tested it out, and it looks fine. So I've really just got 3 flower centres to do. So a fairly rich mixture and a small brush. So I'll just pop those flower centres in. Hindsight is a wonderful thing, and I'm probably thinking about it, using some masking fluid on the petals might have helped. So maybe at the end I need to go in with a little bit of gouache, opaque white watercolour, and just reshape those petals. Make sure the flowers look good. And another little thing I've got some some little stems to put in there, but I think I shall leave those to the very end because I want to sort out some of these shadows here, and then they'll just pop in as some fine lines. So we've not got far to go at the moment. In with a bit of shadow colour on this one here, just under there. Let those bits dry, and then possibly come in with just a few little catch lights in the eyes where you get a bit of reflected light, sort of bring them to life a bit. So I think we're virtually there. So here we are, ready for the final stages. What I think I shall do is probably just darken down slightly underneath the bottom here, put a little bit of shadow. It sort of just helps them to anchor them in the picture, and I've got some white gouache out just to tidy up those petals, and obviously I need to put in a few little fine stalks for the bunch of flowers. So I'll start by just wetting the foreground bit there, so I want to get a reasonably soft edge to it, but say a little bit of extra shadow in there, so let that sort of go off very slightly at the moment. Ultramarine and light red going towards the purpley end. I'll just pop in that extra deep shadow on the bottom there, so just to help anchor them in the picture. That's probably it then. Well, I'll say Not a masterclass in how to actually do a watercolour, but just a little bit something different. With all the card shops closed, I wasn't that inspired with what the local supermarket had, so I thought, well, why not during lockdown? Let's see if I can produce my own card for our anniversary. And here's the finished result. I cropped the watercolour paper and mounted it on a folded card where I've signed it, and it's been signed by all the participants on the back. So I hope you've enjoyed this little watercolour project.